La for, hit for none. All the time, la for, hit for none. For Islam stand for peace.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear viewers, and welcome to the program entitled Inspirational Africans. On today's program from MTA Gambia International Studios, we have here a guest called Fabakary Kalleh. But before we go on to the introduction about him and talk to him about his life, we will first of all go and watch a VT about him, and that will give us a hint of who Fabakary Kalleh is, and from there we will come back and continue the discussion.
On today's Inspirational Africans, we bring you from the Gambia, Mr. Fabakary Kalleh. Mr. Fabakary Kalleh served the Gambia Immigration Department as an immigration officer from April 1997 to December 1999, interprets and enforces various laws and regulations related to the movement of people into, within, and out of the Gambia, and matters connected therein and therewith. He is currently serving the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority, monitor and observe airport terminal operation, December 1999 till date. Youth Ambassadors of Peace Executive Secretary. He served as Chief Executive Officer of the organization and responsible for the management of the organization, Head of the Secretariat and responsible for the execution of duties entrusted to the Secretariat, present an annual operation budget to the National Executive Committee. National Youth Council, Bakau, Gambia Chairperson, January 2011, Member 2002 to March 2006. The Gambia Red Cross Society. He served as the Youth Area Coordinator, Jara West, February 1993 to May 1994. Chief Youth Area Coordinator, Banjul, October 1994 to July 2001. Member Disaster Preparedness and Relief Commission, February 1997 to July 2001. Chairperson, National Disaster and Relief Commission, January 2004 to October 2007. Chairperson, Information, Education and Communication Commission, January 2008, November 2010, and currently he is the President of the Gambia Red Cross Society. Mr. Kalleh has attended a host of national and international forums and trainings representing several organizations.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh again, and welcome to the Inspirational Africans program. Like I said before, we have here with us Fabakary Kalleh, and we just had to welcome him to the program. Fabakary, assalamu alaikum and welcome to the program.
Alaikum salam. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being with us too. We have seen in the VT a short introduction about your life and what you do, but nonetheless we will go to, let's say, where you were born and where you started schooling, because and where you raised up. So you tell us a little bit about your childhood and where you started schooling before we go into other details.
Yeah, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullah. This is a privilege to be identified and be invited to this place. My childhood wasn't a very eventful one, alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah. I was born in Sali, Kenya, in a village in North Bank, Sali, Kenya, Badebu, in 1975. And I was raised up in Tobacco Road, that childhood level in Banjul, Tobacco Road, with my family, until the age of 8, when I was returned back to Sali, Kenya to do schooling. So I did my primary school in Sali, Kenya, primary school. And from Sali, Kenya Primary School, I went to Tahir Ahmadiyya Muslim High School in Mansa, Congo. that was quite a bit of an issue, because when I sat to the common entrance, I did not have I got the government cut-off mark, but my school of choice was St. Augustine, so I didn't have the mark required. I missed it by 2 points. And I had to make a choice to go back to school or to continue in a different school. So my choice was to go back to the primary school and do the common entrance again, because I was small at that time. But my brother said no, with the support of Amir Baba Trawale. He advised my family, and I was sent to Tahir Ahmadiyya Muslim High School. Then it was a new school, and they were looking for students, and they were looking for, that's how I went to Mansakonko. So from Mansakonko, I proceed, this was in 1994, I did my O-levels in Mansakonko, then proceed to Gambia High School, where I did my A-levels in 1996. So this was where I was as a child. As a child, yeah.
Thank you very much. So do you also have any professional training, let's say from Ahmadiyya School, that is Tahir Ahmadiyya Muslim Senior Secondary School? From there, you also went to other institutions, did you?
Yes, when I completed school in 1996, I went to do some things and joined the university, University of the Gambia. This was in 2001, I think. So it's quite a time of academic. But within the line, I've had so much of other trainings. It's not like, I can't call them professional per se, but they were skills training that builds up who you are. In first aid, disaster management, and all those lines. But then professionally, academically, that's the University of the Gambia, where I did the BSc in management. And then I also decided to do some little understanding of law. So I went to the Gambia Technical Training Institute, GTTI, to do law. My intention was to do A-level law. When I sat with the school administration, they said, but you have your BSc already, why do A-level law? I mean, go in for a diploma. So by the time I finished the diploma, I liked it so much, I went for the higher diploma. But it wasn't meant for anything but for me to understand law and how law affects our life in society. That's what put me there. So I did few trainings on aviation, I mean airport management and crisis management in the airport environment, which is my formal place of work. I did some training on peace building from Kofi Annan Peacekeeping Center, which is my passion. I did training on peace building paradigm. I did training on gender and peace building, and so border security. So those are some of the professional trainings I have been through.
Yeah, from there, did you continue? Did you go to the field and start work? And if you do, where did you start your work from? Was it immediately you finished senior school, or it was after you finished your professional level?
No, immediately I finished my high school in 1996. Precisely, I did my A-level in 96, June, July. And I enlisted with the Gambia Immigration Department in January of 1997. Yeah, January of 1997. So I've been with the immigration for about 4 or 5 years. By 1999, December, I went on leave and then took up a new job with the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. So by the end of my leave, I took leave from immigration after I've completed my 5 years of services. I've been with the with Gambia Civil Aviation Authority since then, since 1999. Moved few steps though, from being a supervisor, so many years, and then to director, sorry, to manager. I took break when I was going to the university. I took break from leave from the authority. So within that period, that is between 2001 to 2005-06, during that period when I was going to the university, I got involved in other activities. I created the Peace Ambassadors of the Gambia and become their executive secretary. And then, so these were basically the employment opportunities I've been through. Immigration officer, airport as floor supervisor, and then as airport manager, at Peace Ambassadors as executive secretary. That's the formal employment. Well, I'm into a lot of other formal, informal activities though. Yeah.
So you tell us about the civil aviation. You have been there for so long now. How did you rose through the ranks?
Well, civil aviation, I got appointed as a supervisor in 1999, and I've been supervisor to break off to university, come back, and then in 2014, I got appointed as manager. I went to an interview. I didn't remember having anywhere direct promotion anywhere. All the jobs I have, I went to an interview and struggled for it, present myself before a panel. And by the grace of Allah, I was found to be the most competent among the team. And then I got appointed as the airport manager.
You tell us a little bit what does that entails. What would be your main job as an airport manager?
Okay. My main job as an airport manager is to manage the airport. Huh? You know, in the Gambia, we are unlucky when it comes to aviation. We only have a single airport, and that our airport is run by the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. And the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority is also the regulatory. So it's one department or one authority that does both regulation, operation, and other parts. So the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority regulates this airport, and the Gambia Civil Authority manages the airport, operates the airport. So I am part of the operational team. Key among my tasks is to ensure that we meet international standards of operation, and then also to ensure that the airport is conducive for users, and also to liaise with other government agencies within the airport, so that we facilitate the operation. We have the police, the army, the immigration, the custom, everybody else working in one single entity. So my job becomes to ensure that each one of them get their job done without seriously affecting the performance of the other party.
Was there any, there must be challenges that you faced when you are doing that job. You tell us a little bit of those challenges before we go into other things.
The biggest challenge as airport manager is that you don't work and you're telling people to work. That's the biggest challenge. Because people see you say, you know what, this one is not in line with Annex 14. That is International Civil Aviation Annex. This is how the airport should be run. So you have the civil works doing something, you have the engineer doing something, and you need to let them understand that what they are doing should be in line with. So you do a self-inspection, self-assessment, and you're telling them this is not in line with this. So that's the challenging part. Few will come to tell you, you are not more trained than us. We are experts in our field. How can you tell us what our job should be? It's not necessarily being expert. That's your job as expert. But it's my job to monitor, supervise, and support and ensure standards are met. So I read the standards. You know the work, I read the standards. So this has been the one major challenge. The second major challenge is the expectation of the public. When people come to the airport, they think everything should be available by the airport authority. But it's not everything that the airport authority provides. Here I'm talking to you. This will reach the people because the camera people are doing their job well, right? So if something goes wrong, you and me, you are the one everybody's seen. But there are people working behind the scene. So those behind the scenes, sometimes they have challenges to be able to perform their functions, and we take the stones for them. I think those are the two major challenges. Beyond that, others are just normal work functions.
Thank you very much, Brother Fabakary Kalleh. Now we go to your, we know outside airport duties, you also have some other organizations that you work for, or you are a member of some other organizations. Tell us about those organizations that you are a member in before we go into, you earlier mentioned that one of them, you were part of those who created them. So you take us through that before we go into something else.
Well, my work outside the airport, my outside normal work, my other activities, which actually supersede my formal work, because a lot of people think I work out in those fields. One key among them is the Red Cross. In fact, in some corners, they call me Kalleh Red Cross. You know, I joined the Red Cross in 1985 when I was in the primary school to take part in the march past, independent march past, childhood things. And then when I went to Mansakonko Tahir in 1989, because it's a new school, there was no Red Cross link. And I need to continue my Red Cross thing. They said there's a tap at Red Cross, when you drink, it goes into your blood. So I think that get into my blood. So I met few friends who I knew in Red Cross activities, and I invited them together, and we formed the Tahir Red Cross. And by the grace of Allah, I was asked to lead the group. And that's how my Red Cross journey started. I took a lot of leadership positions in the Red Cross. In 1993, I was the area coordinator for Jara West, which for us is a privilege, when the whole district says you will be our representative and so. And in 1994, I was the link leader for Banjul Central Link. So the journey started moving on with the Red Cross. In 1996, I was the chief area coordinator for Banjul, putting things together, coordinating all the events. 1997, when Banjul has been authorized to have its own branch, and then I was appointed as a volunteer branch officer. I serve the branch voluntarily. That was the time that I have started my immigration training, so there was some energy. So voluntarily, you do administrative functions for the branch in that line, as I recruit some other younger people below me. And along the line, I think somewhere, in every area you have issues. I was suspended from the Red Cross and for 1 year. And 98, I was back. I took up other functions. Fast forward somewhere in 2001, I was made the youth director of the Gambia Red Cross Society, meaning responsible for all youth programs of the Gambia Red Cross. Position I hold for about 4 years, helping the society coordinate itself and its activities with the younger generation. But at the time, my challenge was bigger than the former youth directors. But that was the time that the Red Cross has gone into organizational crisis, and all the staffs were laid off. So we had an advisor from the Icelandic Red Cross who was with us, and he needed to lean on some other people. And as the youth director and volunteers within my youth take up the management of the National Society as the head with that Gunnar Strong for 3 months before we are able to sort out a new management. And I've been privileged to help that management set up, move on. And somewhere along the line, I have served in all the committees within the Red Cross. Every position in the National Executive I have man, except for being treasurer and vice president. I did not. But all other positions within the society, from being IEC chairperson, disaster chairperson, member of the disaster commission, I've been head of the constitutional review of the society, been a lead trainer in disaster management, a lead trainer in first aid, in governance and leadership. In all key components of the Red Cross, I have been in the forefront. That I've been close to Red Cross and associated more with Red Cross than anything else. In fact, if you look at my CV or you look at my certificate, you see a sort of red, both nationally and internationally, by the grace of Allah, alhamdulillah. Along that front, in 2004, I was sent to Iceland to help raise funds for the Gambia Red Cross Society. Build up the relationship that was there. There was a relationship, there were issues with it, but I went to rebuild that relationship, and by the grace of Allah, I can always put that as part of the pride. And the same year, I was invited to Geneva, to be part of the volunteer commission representing Africa, looking at the volunteering. They said volunteering for in the new millennium, looking at how volunteer work is happening within the Red Cross and how to set that up within the Federation. Now, recently, in last year, I got elected as the president of the Gambia Red Cross Society. Alhamdulillah, that's what I'm doing now. And that position, that election came with another added responsibility, being the chairperson of the Sahel. And that's the Sahel is a grouping within the Red Cross, mainly of West African societies, and to help coordinate events around. And I've been selected to be the chair. So currently that's what I'm doing with the Red Cross. The other activity I'm part of is the Peace Ambassadors. I created that with few other people. I'm part of the initiators in 2001. Actually reacting to the call by the United Nations. In 1999, there was a United Nations resolution that calls for that declared the year 2010 as the International Year for Decade of the Culture of Peace and Non-Violence. So I got involved in those activities, and I look around, and there was not much of peace activism in the country at the time. So I gathered people from various areas and formed that organization, and they helped me build it up, and we focus on peace education. And by the grace of Allah, now that organization is functioning both in the Gambia and Senegal and Guinea-Bissau, and we are doing very well into election observation, election monitoring, early warning in peace-building issues, gender, training across the board, and we are bringing out the cultural mechanisms in resolving conflict, the Sanawiya and the Dankuto, that had been very effective in the past, but sort of being ignored, that we are presenting to the forefront and using all those alternative means in resolving conflict. I've also been with the National Youth Council. When it was created in 2000, I was lucky to be one of the few who was at the consultation. Then I was part of the Banjul Youth Committee, and then become the chairperson of Banjul Youth Committee for 3 years, and 5 years as chairperson of Banjul Youth Committee. The first 2 years was finishing up a tax done by Ibrahim Ajao. So I finished his tax, and then I got elected to do my own 2-year term. And then in 2010, the council was abolished. I mean, not abolished per se, but the council members were removed, and there was an ad hoc committee. And I got appointed by the minister to reorganize and restructure the National Youth Council. I've always found myself reorganizing and restructuring. And I've served the National Youth Council also for 5 years as the chairperson of the National Youth Council of the Gambia. And my focus then there was focused mainly on setting up procedures, programs, and those things so that the council can be beneficiary to the younger people. And by the grace of Allah, the young people of the country can talk about that. I will not go to those details. I work with other organizations though, like Child Protection Alliance, part of the founding members, West African Network for Peace Building, WANEP, part of the founding members in the Gambia, and few others I cannot still remember offhand, but work with them in providing training and building capacity. Yeah. Well, I should also say, I at the Jamaat level, I've been I've been with the Jamaat since the Kudamul Ahmadiyat. I came into the National Amila first in 1994 as a member of National Amila of the Kudam. And I've been there until I overate Kudam, into almost every session from Mutamin Atfal. I started Mutamin Atfal to all the line until Tarbiyat and so. And Alhamdulillah, been head of the Ijtima organizing committee for three consecutive Ijtimas. I've been assigned to lead the Ijtima organizing committee. Now, Alhamdulillah, I'm with Ansarullah. I'm also part of the Ansarullah National Ijtima Organizing Committee. And I'm also a member of the National Amila of the Jamaat since I came into the Amila in 2001. And by the grace of Allah, except for 1 or 2 breaks I had in one term, I've been with the Amila all through. I've been in the Jalsa Organizing Committee, in charge of decoration, size, and so I started that in 99. That's when I first become the head of the gate and side decoration. And by the grace of Allah, I'm still taking that lead with some addition. As being stage secretary, which I have also taken up some few years ago. I mean, 4 years now I've been stage secretary, added to the other functions. So these are the few works I do outside my formal work.
Thank you very much, Brother Fabakary Kalleh. We have seen that from your school, you have lived a productive life, both for the Jamaat and your workplace and organizations, some of which, like you have mentioned, you were part of the founders itself. But one question,
maybe before you go, just one more thing before you go. At village level too, I'm part of our village organization called Njenjule Killing. That the villagers, people from my village, sat together. We realized that there is not much activity happening in the village, and we want to see how our village can be developed from where it is. Call it the smart city concept. So I've been part of the founders of that organization too. It's been 7 years old now, and last year I've been elected to also chair the organ that also. So I've been having a lot of cares on my head. Yeah.
So that takes me to the next question. Maybe some of the viewers would be wondering, how is this man able to manage family, work, organizations, Jamaat work? You know, how are you able to manage all this?
Okay, maybe the question should have been, why are you doing all this? How to manage is not a difficult one. It's about delegation. Leadership is delegation. It's about authority and delegation. Where you are present when you are not physically present. Where people feel your presence even if you're not there. We call it ethical leadership. Decisions you made will not be popular. Okay, they may not be popular, but you know they are right and you make them. And then because you are making unpopular decisions, but they are giving impact, and people behind you, your followers, are understanding that, and they get more closer to you. So they buy into your leadership concept, and they know that if you are present, this is what you would have done, and they try to do that. And in return, even if they do wrong, you accept it as, that's cool, and then correct them. And you don't condemn them. In that way, if you are not there, they still will take the decision. You are still present because you delegate them. But that is first based on empowering. That's how I do, empower, delegate. Yeah. But maybe I said you should have asked, why are you doing all this? How are you able, why you get into all this? My motivation is based on the Kudam pledge. That has been my motivation. In fact, I remember when I was asked this question by one journalist in 2003, why are you doing all this national development thing? You are into national security, national this. Every committee here you are part of. You know, I didn't tell you some of the committees I work on at the national level. You know, and I said, my motivation is from the Kudam pledge. We made a pledge to serve our country and our nation and to serve humanity. So you make that pledge, you work. Maybe you could have said, okay, but the Kudam pledge, you should be working within the Jamaat system and be part of Kudamul Ahmadi and all those things. I'm doing that. Huh? But again, I said, when Musa was sent to us, when Allah sent Musa to Firaun, right? He asked, Allah, we were told, you Ustaz told us, we asked Allah, and Allah says, what do you have in your hand? It was a stick, huh? So when Allah sends you, He sends you with what you have in your hand. So what the skills that Allah gave me is the ability to convince people, leadership skills, influencing skills, motivating skills. That's what Allah has given me. So I use that stick in any environment I am to mobilize people together. That's why you always see I'm a founder, part of the founding members and so. Mobilize people together, empower them for them to serve their community. That is how I live to fulfill my Kudam pledge. And I'm no more Kudam now, but I'm still fulfilling those Kudam pledges.
Thank you very much, Brother Fabakary Kalleh. And we have just few minutes to go.
Okay.
But we will use those few minutes maybe for you to give an advice maybe to some of the youngsters who are growing up, who want to be involved in the kind of work that you are doing.
Well, for my advice to young people always is look up to somebody and up to something. You can't hold air. You cannot do it. If you want to hold air, you have to put it into something. So let's hold on to something. My motivation had been on a moral ground. And I've looked at as my role model, Baba F. Traoré, who is currently the Amir of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, even before he becomes Amir, as a role model. So I look up to him, I walk up to him, and when I have issues, I go to him to explain to him. Sometimes I'll come to him and tell him a story of a brother who has a problem to be resolved. Not knowing that is my own problem though, but because maybe if I say it's my problem, the way he will advise will be different from it's a problem of a brother I'm going to help. So I'll balance it that level and pick up all the time get wisdom from him. That for me is one aspect you hold on to. Two, you have to hold on to a philosophy. What do you stand for? Because if you have not hold on to a philosophy, you will fall up for anything. So you hold up to a philosophy. I have prepared myself to be serving people who will serve. I have not planned to be a leader. And I've told people I don't want to be a leader. I have planned to be a great leader. And what a great leader does is to build followers. Sorry, what a leader does is to build followers. What a great leader does is to build leaders. So I built most of my time focusing on building and preparing leaders. So look at what you can do. It's your choice. We all cannot be great leaders. Some of us have to go into something else. Into every field I get to. Now I'm into business because I had a challenge on some business models in this country. How entrepreneurship done, how young people are being encouraged not to go by the bag way. And I don't like the model that is being presented. I challenge it at the national level, but I'm not supported. Say, okay, you know what, I create my own model. This is how I want. And I'm able to get support from 1 or 2, 3 family members. Support kids from school, pay their fees, help them, get them to technical school, college. They did their technical training, put them together to form a construction company they are building. So you don't just pay school fees and they go to school and they finish and they are sitting at home. Look at what these people need and pay school fees on that direction. With support from the Iceland. Some colleagues from Iceland were supporting me in that, providing funding, sponsoring kids. We support about 105 kids from their grade 7. Right now some are at the university and we're still paying for them. So hold on to something. That's my advice.
Thank you very much, Brother Fabakary Kalleh. This is all time allowed us. We were, like I've said, we were talking to Brother Fabakary Kalleh, and we have all heard his story together. From his normal work, he also do venture into some organizations, some of which he helped founded himself, and they are still running those organizations, and they are a help to this nation that is the Gambia and beyond. And we have also heard his advice to the youth, and I hope that all of you would benefit from this advice. Until we come your way next time from MT International Gambia Studios, we say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
La for hate for none all the time. La for hate for none, hate for none. For Islam stand for peace. La for hate for none all the time. La for hate for none, hate for none. For Islam stand for peace.